heels on all night on the beach till the break of dawn.
Welcome to Miami. Bienvenido a Miami.
Bouncing in the club with the heels on all night on the beach till the break of dawn. Going to Miami.
Welcome to Miami.
Miami. South Beach, bring the heat. Can y'all feel that? Can y'all feel that? Check it out.
It's always the most difficult question to answer is who you are. And that was for a long time a question I tried to answer. Who is Sasha is? Is that only my name? Or it's something more behind that story of who really I am? But if I look a little deeper behind the name, would be a hidden little boy, sad, alone, abandoned, and trying to find his place under the sky in this world. And oftentimes the best place to land would be in the arms of the dog. Safe, quiet, place of acceptance, not judgmental, and peaceful. And everything starts from there. Who am I? Who is Sasha? So it's a journey of 30 years trying to answer that question. But everything started to unfold one day when I actually realized that freedom of one lays between the boundaries of his destiny.
And hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of our series, Grooming with a Positive Mental Attitude. I wish you a happy new year, and I wish you all of your dreams finally to get wings and let them fly. The only way, again, that separates a successful of unsuccessful people is not the dreams that we have, is not ideas that we have. This world is full of ideas, full of dreams, and unfortunately will stay the world of undreamed dreams, unfulfilled dreams, and untold stories. It's because only one word separates these two groups and separates and will have your story be told and your dreams be driven and lived. It's so-called action. Action with a positive mental attitude is all you need. All we need is to actually finally stop having all kinds of excuses why something can't be done and focus on where we can start here and now, fulfilling our desires and our needs in order to fulfill our dreams. Today's topic is learn to see. What is there to be see, and what is there to be become aware of? It's a very important thing. We see everything with our physical eye, but the witnessing something in outer world can be without consciousness. For example, someone can put you in a room and close the door and lock the door, telling you you can't escape. Where actually on the same time, in the same room, they're gonna be key hanged on a wall. Without knowledge of key existence, of what the key is, what to do with the key, you wouldn't be able to get out from the room by using a tools you already have. So the knowledge is very important. We need to know what the key is for. Then when we learn about there is some key, then we know how to use the key. Put the key in the kako se kaže brava? Kako? Doorknob? No, where you put the key? Key slot, and open the door. But if you wouldn't know about the key, if you don't know what the key is for, you wouldn't be able to use the key and free yourself from the room. That is the same way how our inner eye trains us to see outer world. That is why a lot of time the students, I see now this the great ideas that these New Year's resolutions put out, and what you want to accomplish next year, and what you want to do more. Like a lot of people would say, I want to improve my skills. I want to work more on my skills. The question becomes, what skill you want to work on more? What means improving skills? We need the skills to put something from inside out. We need the skills to do something. So in the field of the dog grooming, we need the skills as a bridge in between inner world of my consciousness and outer world I want to create. So all of our inspiration, all of our understanding, all of our knowledge shapes everything inside our mind. That is where I say we are seeing a shape in our mind, but we create a form outside ourselves. So that's what the difference in between term shape and form is. The shape I see on the screen of my mind, and it's a two-dimensional object. When I close my eyes and when I imagine whatever I imagine, I see it like I'm looking at TV. It's a two-dimensional object. Now the problem starts when I need to express and create that object that I see inside myself, outside myself. Now I need to create a form. Now I need to add a third dimension by using the skills. So what I need the skills for is only to bridge what I see inside myself and to mirror it and to create that outside myself. So for such a creative industry like a grooming industry is, seeing is everything. But why are we frustrated, and why we think that we need something, that we need more skills, that we need more to work on a bridge than on a content, on the now there is some river, and that river have two shores. One shore is that creativity within, and that's a shape of my outer world that I want to create. So now I want to go from that shore onto the other one, where I see manifested my creations from inside my mind. I see manifested outside with me creating them. That's very important. It's not going to just manifest by me doing something. And that's the biggest, that's why all of this new age type of philosophy brings people to depression, because we all kind of sit back, we write our goals, we do our idea of how the life is to be done, how I want to create my life, and everything is kind of remains in that la la land. And then by more we create this la la land inside our mind, without putting in action, creating the bridge, developing the skills, and finally not only develop the skills, but use the skills and create all of that that's inside us, outside ourselves, and abandon this world with our creations, it's then the frustration starts. Then when the depression starts, when I don't want to take action, and I think that suddenly something just gonna fall off the sky, and suddenly I'm gonna wake up in this beautiful la la land that I dreamed of in my life. That's what the people like. It's not a lack of ideas in this world. That's wrong concept. It's not a lack of ideas in the world. It's a lack of people taking actions to fulfill their ideas, to put their dreams in motion. And there is a big portion of why the people are not doing that. Why do we not do? Why do we keep dreaming rather than giving wings to our dreams finally? So when you come to the point and make this a beautiful understanding that the world that I want to see outside myself needed to be created first inside myself. But then it's not enough. Then I need to take an action in order to bring a fruition of that world and share it with the world. And that's very important to understand. So learn to see is actually a topic that brings this positive mental attitude towards excitement of creation and creating. So excitement in the process of creation, in the process of reaching the goals, in process of fulfilling the dreams. The process of fulfilling the dreams makes us grow, because the person that has a dream and the person that lives the dream, it's not the same person. Because the person that has a dream need to work on a dream, need to become a person that is capable of living the dream. And that's very important, because where am I now is based on the steps and the challenges and the way I overcome challenges and the problems that I had in this life so far. So I grew to the point where I am person today. And all of those practicing and homeworks that I'm keep kind of giving us to do and to fulfill in week between the two episodes or two series, I'm just kind of encouraging you to understand how powerful you are and embrace the powerfulness. That's what we are the most afraid of. That's where the most anxiety comes from. I'm not aware of who I really am. And I think that promise and that the fulfillment of that will come from outside proof. Someone else need to prove me that I'm good. I'm always missing that extra encouragement, extra words from my friends, from my kids, from my parents. You are good enough. And if we depend on that someone need to tell us that, then we are actually in lack of self-confidence. And that's the cause of the lot of anxiety that we have in our life. Facing anxiety is actually a common problem for the people in our industry, because that's why we are here. We are afraid of the world. we think we actually face the big challenge. It's regardless what my conscious idea about that is. Oh, I'm not afraid about, I'm not afraid about nothing. Sometime we're gonna have our body or our health or our interaction with the other people and results of our life tell the different story. So it's not what I'm thinking is going on. It's what's actually going in my life. It's what's actually the results of my action are. So there I can see, oh my God, this really sucks. And I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to fix this. I tried everything. I spent a lot of money to the psychologist. I did all kind of work, and looks like somehow nothing works. So I did too, until I didn't in tune slowly with this path of acknowledge everything that is the way it is. You can't change people. You can't change world. The only one person we are in charge of is me, myself, and I. And once I start working on that single person, the world around us is going to change. So if you didn't happen to watch previous episodes, they are slowly rising up in the ideas of how this is to be achieved. And by fulfilling weekly tasks, you will come to the conclusion of why I am here where I am. To thank to the people that brought us here both way, like in a way of, yeah, he helped me by giving me a hand, or he helped me by refusing a help, or even he did abuse me, or she did abuse me down this path, and here I am today because all of that. We oftentimes fail to see sacredness in suffering, sacredness in being a victim of circumstances, and turning that victimhood into the biggest driving power of our life. But on that path, we need to face a responsibility, not to get self-destructive by blame, but from circumstances that we didn't love, we need to take a responsibility, so we are able to learn the lessons that came along by that way. Because if I think that everything is okay with me and I blame you for hurting me, I will be failing to embrace that event in order to create someone that can arise from that. No matter, because I see also a lot of people are telling about the bad events, like, oh my God, there is a person that did me that, and then I turned everything here, and then I ran away, I did this, I did that, without naming the person. That's kind of, you want to erase part of your destiny that actually was just not a pleasant experience. But what we did actually fail to see is a positive outcome of the negative experience. Positive outcome of the negative experience gives credit to whoever created the negative experience for us, because otherwise we wouldn't be here where we are today. How the negative experience even happened and occurred in our life? After, that's a legitimate question. It can be like, oh, but I create my life and my destiny is perfect, and I, this power of attraction and law of attraction, and this as you sow, so shall you reap philosophy works always when I want to collect something good from the life. And then I give credit to myself. Oh, look at how good I am to the people, and the life is showering me back, and I'm getting back because I'm great and things like that. But also in that perfect place, I need to understand that actually my soul and my entire being should be serene according to that. Not to give too much credit of myself of doing the right thing. why we get this beautiful blessing of the life, and then after that oftentimes comes like very bad experience after that. So our life is this constant wave, and more we take credit for the great things, refusing to give the credit to the bad things that created with us as well, our waves and excitement gonna be higher, and the failures will be lower. But those failures bring that deep depression that every single time gets to be bigger and bigger and bigger. Why? If you there is a great kind of topic in that everything in life happens with God's approval. The good things happens with the support of the God, and when the bad things occur, it's because the God pulled away his presence, letting us to be exposed to the field of negative impact. Why? It's because of the sins we committed down that road. Oftentimes, it can be sins we inherited through the generational that came along with our parents or the parents of their parents. Because there is a saying, in the Bible there is a saying, if the grandparents eat sour fruit, the teeth of the grandparents gonna be utrnuti, how you say? Kako se kaže utrneti? You know, please. Trne mi ruka. I'm sorry. It's a very important word. Trne. Trnci. Thorns? Torn, can the teeth torn? Da.
Oh, numb.
Numb. Okay. So when the grandparents eat sour fruit, the grandkids experience the numbness of the mouth. That's not because we want to do that. It's because, according to their knowledge, their level of consciousness, they didn't fix the thing and experiences what they was going through. They fixed as well. Actually, they thought it's a best up to that moment. But sometime that flows through the river of life. And without them facing those challenges, now it's our time to face the same challenges. And that's what scares me as a parent. If I wouldn't do everything that it's in my power to kind of to move on with my life, I will just simply leave those lessons to be learned by my kids. And that's scary. Every single parent wants best for his or her kids. But if we fail to live happiness and experience happiness in our life, we're gonna teach our kids to live the same. That's scary. My anxiety lives in the body and the soul of my kids. My failures gonna be the starting point of their life. So I need to do everything that is in my power to embrace the life and to see the life the way the life is. It's not in creating the la la land just to protect my feelings because I can't deal with this. And then just suddenly pull like a coward of responsibility that other maybe don't have or didn't have because they just never happened to live. As I always keep saying, according to a lot of things that happen to the man's life and that possibly can impact everyone's life, possibility for us to get born is mathematically almost impossible. All the wars, all the plagues, all the challenges, all the hungers, all the wars that were existing out there were taking lives. And somehow we managed to be here today. Somehow. In 1,000 years of mine and your history of life, there is you can count down, there is a 8.5 billion people needed to be born in order for us to sit here and talk today. 8.5 billion relatives, mothers and fathers are sitting here with us. Every single pain of theirs, every single success of theirs, every single emotion of theirs flows through our blood and flesh, embedded in us, but not like an obstacle. Every one of them wants only one thing for us, is to finally explore happiness. You know, the kids always suffer because of the action of their parents. So it's same like with the dogs. The dogs see us and then they see how incapable we are of living the life and they develop anxiety. Why the dogs develop a hyper level of anxiety is because they don't trust their owners. Why they don't trust to their owner? They don't trust the capability of the owner surviving the natural laws of nature. It's not about how I pretend to be. It's who I really am. And who knows who I really am because I cover myself. I'm not able to tell the truth. I'm not able to go to the priest and confess because I'm ashamed of all kind of sins and bad things I did in my life. Or if you would say, oh, I didn't do anything, I'm always good and great. That's kind of taking responsibility, taking a pureness of the God on yourself. And that's selfish, irresponsible, and full of egoism, thinking that everything I do is right. No. I keep trying to be the best possible version I can. But I'm sure if I would be able to achieve that level of purity, I wouldn't be alive and I wouldn't call myself a human. Probably I would be somewhere, angeling and helping people, from different dimension, not sitting here experiencing this life of suffering. I must tell you, the Orthodoxy and the Christianity gave me a lot of answers to cope with the pain and sorrow after my mom was gone. The truth in life is forever, and the death is not the end. Helped me engage with my mother more than I ever did. But also entire idea of life calls for sometime embracing a sacredness of the rituals in religion as recommended, like a communion, like a confession, like all kind of sacred that we might don't even consider thinking of until the life doesn't push us somewhere. No matter what your beliefs are, whatever helps you cope, but not cope now, cope long term. It's a path you should follow. I can't say if I'm anxious and if I get in these panic attacks that I need a medicine. Something's wrong in a picture. How do I get to the point? What I'm feeling, what I don't see. Why? Because there I said, like, sometimes the God gonna never give up on us. This is a great time to remember this around the Christmas and New Year's Eve, and Orthodox Christmas is just approaching. So we are still in that, hype of the Christmas spirit. So when you come to the point to understand that actually, yes, that is not the end, but illness is not excuse as well. What happens when we don't cope with our life properly, then the God start creating challenges for us. It's not because the God will never challenge us. The God will just pull away a little bit. So we get exposed to the negative impact of the people, of the all kind of sources that might include illness as well. To gain this inner serenity, to reconnect with ourselves, to see what we need to confess to ourselves, who we need to forgive, so we don't need to carry that burden anymore. Then you go to the church and the priest asks you, do you have to confess any sin? And you said yes. And then you start from the childhood. I did this, I did that. I killed this little cat. I couldn't cope with this. I was wrong to this person. I did this and I did that. And more you start talking, more it comes, and more you start from that frozenness of, no, I'm great, I'm good, I did everything great to everyone, but I don't see how actually bad person I am, firstly to myself, because I think by holding all of these secrets to myself, I can pretend to be something I'm not. And there is a first sign, first little gap of failure to witness the life the way the life is. I asked you a couple of weeks ago, put on the list of 100 people that made you who you really are. And then when the Christmas came, I said, like, pull out from that list the people that hurted you or that you hurted, but if you wouldn't do that, or if they wouldn't do that, then you wouldn't be who you really are today. Write them the letter, pick up the phone and call them, and tell them if they're bad to you, tell them you forgive, or if you were bad to them, tell them you're sorry. But in your own life, you need to take a responsibility, because if we still think we were hurt by someone, we don't see the benefit coming out from that, the flower coming out from that mud of our life, some little beautiful, like a water lily came out. And if we don't allow mud to be, we refuse to see a lily. How the life operates, as I said on the first show, I said, like, don't blame the God for nothing that happens to us. We shouldn't blame him that nothing that terrible happens to us in life. We need to take a responsibility for that. Because why it happened to us? When you talk to the priest, it will be like lack of the divine support. Why? How it comes that was lack of divine support? Because sometimes, because of the sinful life we live, the God just chooses to move away a little bit. So depend on how sinful we are to ourselves and to the others, that move away will be far away or not so far away. And then we're going to get exposed to the all kind of possibilities to choose from. And either we're going to go and dig our grave faster and deeper, or we're going to put the finger on our head, finally seeing world the way it is. Because it's not going to happen to be seen outside until we do not find it inside ourselves. And that is where the consciousness creates and connects a key picture in my heart to see it outside. Where is the key so I can open this door? Oh, it's here. Put the key inside, open the door, go out. Oh, how should I develop my skills so I mirror this beautiful shape of the grooming of the poodle that I have on a screen of our mind? How should I put it out? So if I need to be creative, I need to work on my imagination. And if I'm going to work on my imagination, I need to allow myself imagining things that are in line with my needs and the path of moving on and moving forward. And then the life just going to come, like we're going to be exposed to one experience, the another experience. Something's going to be, some experience and information we're going to see on TV. Something going to inspire us by listening some song. The other things, someone going to set us something. And then the bliss is just going up, 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 up. We meet with someone. You need to see the God in every single creature, in every single person you talk to. Oh no, I can't see God in him. He destroyed my life. Because of him, I was homeless. Because of him, I was homeless. And then you come, because of him, I was homeless. And there is a beautiful story in that movie I already mentioned. I again still, I don't know what's the name of the movie is, but he said like, there was this recession in, the collapse of the real estate market, and then the guy, his mortgage doubled in over the month. He couldn't afford it. He was evicted out from the home with his wife. Then the sheriff came. Then they put them out on the street. So the wife left him, took a kid. So he stayed alone, homeless, penniless, and then the destiny pushed him to the edge of the life. And he said like, how should I survive? Finally, he started to paint. And in a couple of, he was selling the paints for $1, $2. And then some guy was going, it was, I don't know where, LA, New York, probably. That's a good place to tell these kind of stories. So the owner of the gallery was moving next to it, and he saw these beautiful pictures down. He said like, who is making this? Okay, I'll make you rich and famous. Come follow me. We're gonna make you create pictures, and I'm gonna give you an exhibition space. And they did a great job. And finally, on the event, after the first, they opened the show, and then the gallery was sold out almost the same night. And then the guy, this owner of the gallery, comes back to bring the check to the guy, and he's handing him the check. And this one wants to take the check, and then the guy holds it back just for a second. He said like, never forget the circumstances that helped you create all of this. And in your gratefulness to that event, you should be more grateful than to everything you did after that happens. Because without that, you wouldn't be today a millionaire. And that's what happens to us. We just forget. And then we take all the credit because I'm survivor. I'm the great one. I'm the one that's actually, it's not. As much as I am, the God was with me, by my side, helping me get there. And why did I get there? Is because he withdrew. Why did he withdraw? Because of my choices in life. That I can do whatever I want. That's my free will. That's what I'm a man for. That's why I'm human. I have a free will to do whatever I want with this life. But then the question becomes, when I do what's up to my free will, sometime I need to pay the price later on. Because oftentimes I choose a path of least resistance. Because I'm told to, there is in law of attraction, you have a way to attract richness, happiness in your life. You go on the path of least resistance. But also no one reads the next part of the chapter, because we are all microwaving to our life, because no one gives a deal to what's actually in the picture. It said path to least resistance oftentimes is not the easiest one to do. Because the first step would be the one that need to show our faith. And just after I'm knocking, the door gonna open. But to knock is the most difficult to do. He said like, oh, path of least resistance, here is door. No, I need to open the door. I can't open the door. I don't have a key. Okay, so that's resistance. So life resists me here, and the life puts the door here. So I shouldn't. Oh, here is the open street. Let's go just down this street. And then you go to the street, and then you end up in some wood, and there is a wood and everything, and we get lost and things like that. Where actually that was actually, according to the life, that was more resistance. Because now I need to cope with the consequences. And here is a door. What should I do? Maybe just, I try to open. It's not. The life resists me. And then the God said, knock, and I'll open. Knock. Oh no, who am I to knock? Maybe I'm gonna bother someone. No. And then again, well, what I'm missing to knock is a self-confidence, self-awareness, selfness. And I knock, the life opens, and a beautiful garden of the Eden stands behind it. The dark cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. That's what we don't see. So that's where actually this entire story of learn to see is all about seeing possibilities in our life and then taking action into embracing them, living accordingly to the point of reaching the destiny of our life. And there is no such a thing like the God also said, like, I'm actually very, very religious, and that's nothing to do with my opinion on this point. It just has to do with the way I'm coping with the challenges in a life. And everyone is free to do whatever he wants. We can do everything we want, but not everything we do serves us. Maybe serves us short term, but we pay consequences long term. But the short and long in the world of God doesn't exist. The God created the world in 6 days, and they said like, okay, and no one said that the day was 24 hours. Maybe those days were 1,000 years, according to our experience of time. In the Quran, it says it's created in 6 times, and then in the Bible it says 6 days. So God needed 6 times to create I don't know, maybe that's a kind of not a good translation from Serbian, but it doesn't use the word a day. And that's also, what does it mean? Sometimes we're gonna suffer because we don't see the bigger challenge of the obstacle we face, bigger advantage on the going through the path of least resistance. It's maybe at the moment when we need to make a decision, it's not looking like the easiest one. And when we are on a path of salvation, whatever that is for any one of us, then the obstacles and the outcome of the life doesn't make any difference how long we're gonna live, the way we're gonna end up this life, and what's gonna be a way of us transitioning through this life. And then finally, when the fear stops, the life begins. Not before that. We just maybe have this physical way of, eating, drinking, sleeping, waking up, doing again, going to the shop, groom the dogs, tell to the clients, you groom your dog better at home than I can groom more dogs, things like that, and then repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, and then you get scared of everything. How long I gonna repeat this because I don't wanna. What's I gonna do? And sometimes we need to throw so much that the only thing we see in this is, this is the only way I know how to live. This is probably the way I live. I'm gonna live until I'm gonna live like this until I don't die. But then the problem becomes of where there is experiencing the happiness. Oh, I'm happy. Everything is okay in my life until the anxiety doesn't hit in. And then I need to go to look at, I know what does it mean drinking pills and turning head, turning, on yourself, by yourself, trying to, end your life because you don't see the other different way to cope with the problems. And then some unnatural desire for lives arises from that. So whatever we think is our biggest secret, and we don't want to tell that to no one, because I'm ashamed I did that to someone, or to someone did something to me, and then I hold that, I'm gonna never forgive that to someone. And then what actually we fail is to see how this muddy experience shaped the beautiful outcome that would actually never happen. And that's the glory of the God. No sin. It's the one that you can't confess and get, relieved of, because that's why we are humans. We make mistakes. We feel sorry for them. We regret in the deep of our heart. We forgive, and we released ourselves from holding back on the events that we never actually saw bringing such a much joy as an outcome. So all of those people that are on a list, or maybe you fail to put them on a list because you still reject them. And whatever we reject grows in us. Grows in us with this terrible feeling of I'm growing in someone that I'm really not. And what actually is overtaking my being is all of this kind of regret, shame, secrets that we don't feel comfortable in expressing, telling, sharing with the people, sharing with the God, sharing. But it's always important in between us. The God said, wherever two or more gain in name of my, kind of two or more, like unite in name of mine, there is me with you. There am I with you. So it's not enough for us to create unity with the God consciousness if it's only me and the God. We need someone else. True. Why that someone else is very important? It's because that's going to be a mirror of who I really am. And when I see my brother as myself and embrace everything that I see bad in you and understand that that's projection of who I really am, then the God comes and say, I love you, my son. I love you the way you are. Do you forgive to the others? Yes, I forgive you. And then you feel some relief that's not felt, some power, strength that doesn't look humane, doesn't look like it's coming from this cognitive world, never experienced, but just after that. And then you can always say, oh, I don't believe this, oh, this is too much, oh, we have now science, and this is the answer, and that is the answer. But all of those is okay. It's legitimate excuse not to try. Until you do not experience the miracle of it, you can judge and deny. And that's okay, because we can do whatever we want. But the only way to experience the life its in fullness and really to know that doesn't work, you need to try it. I waited 48 years really to try it. And what pushed me that direction was the death of my mother. Because I couldn't find a healing in anything else rather than seeing a foreverness of the life in its realness. Life is forever, and the death doesn't stop it. Prevents us just for, and then the question becomes, what happened next? Am I going to reincarnation, or this is what it is? This is it. This is my path of salvation, and then after that, I'm gonna just either go, in cold or in heaven, based on my actions. And neither the actions are important as much as confession and regret of those actions. Because the God was always turning these terrible persons into the saints. Like, the Saint Magdalena. He was, the easy woman that regretted the life before that. And then she was the one that helped Virgin Mary, take Jesus of the cross. So those old stories might feel like, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, he talks like, oh my God, religious. All of this is because, that's the easier way to cover the cope with the death of his mother. And okay, now he needs to add some whatever just to survive. But I must tell you, the results of the life, the richness of the experience of every single moment of the life, here and now, shows that's the way it is. Judge the prophet by its fruits. This way of looking at life gives fruition to the life. And you know what? All of that I'm telling you, and you can read in the Bible, is the life we live next to our four-legged friends, next to our dogs. Everything of that is the way the dogs interact with us. Exactly the God and Jesus and Bible and Gospels, and read whatever you want, whatever that those books are telling us to live like, you can find in the dog. The way the dogs interact with the people is the Gospel and the Bible in its purity. So, and my project named about the dogs and awakening, and my books are exactly telling the same story, that we don't need to teach dogs how to behave. We need to learn from dogs how to become better people. Because that's the path of salvation, serving, being in service to the others, but through your destiny, not through the destiny of your kids or your parents or who, but the world, what the world wants you to do. Because there you have a great career of Amy Winehouse, the Robert Williams, Michael Jackson. You don't know how many people are out there with the stories of, oh my God, he changed my life. He was the best singer. He was the best performer. He was taking me out from depression. When, yes, they were doing that because they were successful at something that was not their destiny. And that's why they ended the life the way they ended. Lonely, abandoned inside themselves. But we never know how many that way of living the life need to inspire us. That's not about how many people clapping me, how many likes, how many views this not an easy watch has to keep me going for a year every Monday. It's not about that. It's about what is to be done on my end. Because I don't know what the next step is. If I want to be, if I want to be on the top of the mountain, pretending to be, I'm at the top of the mountain, I'm great, I'm perfect, I'm good, I'm grace, I'm great, I'm this, I'm that. You have a lot of techniques of that, creating mental vision, blah blah blah, and then it has like, then you lay down in the book, read the book. Oh, you need to imagine yourself on the top of the sky, and then you be there and say, okay, I'm imagining myself, and then the God said, oh, you want to be there? Okay, let's go. Let's do it. Like myself, I'm trying to have a six-packs entire my life. I never had. I never put enough discipline and enough action in really learning about how to eat and how to practice. And I still keep, oh my God, oh Sasha, you're fat, you're this, you don't look nice. Six packs never had in my life, and so much I want to have them, but I never did nothing in order to get them, rather than putting a face on photoshopped picture and pretending that I'm gonna have a kind of body like that, just watching the beautiful picture. Yeah, that's how it starts. But if you don't take an action in not only dieting, like lower the calories and do this and do that, its idea would be to eat accordingly to the physique you want to achieve. It's sometimes not an eating a calorie not put yourself in a calorie deficit, but create a proper nutrition and diet and a lot of other things that you need to put in place in order to make your goal happen. Now, when I said this and confessed this to you, I feel kind of really pushed in a way to do that from starting from tomorrow. Something. I don't know what even that can be, because I tried whole my life. And then if you really know me for a long time, you know how much I was yo-yoing up and down from starvation to I can't fit in a screen, and how much that affects me on a daily level still. But also this time was learn to see yourself the way you are. And that is why I choose the picture that has the most impact in my life on 2021 is the picture where I hold a dog, drink a tea, and then I kind of laugh like a little, I don't know how you call that, like a little Santa Claus with a yellow hat. I hated that picture because I can see my face is not perfect, and I look even more fat than I was, and that was actually like maybe 2-3 weeks after I recovered from COVID last year, and it was like I was so happy and so joyful and so full of life that I somehow projected that to the picture. But even when I was looking at that picture, I said, you can't use that picture because you don't look nice on that. And again, to myself, I said, like, no, you're going to try to find in every single thing that bothers you, you're going to try to see the beauty of yourself in it. And that is why I choose that picture to use to be a great, happy holidays picture for my 2022, for all of you. Getting myself out from the box so much that I almost was unable to I kind of freeze there. You can't do that. What's gonna the people are gonna tell, okay, look how fat he is. Yes. If that's what they're gonna see, that's what they're gonna say. But this is your turn to do right things for you. And then again, that picture gets like a great compliment from each and every one of you. And thank you so much for that support. That is why I created a group. I invite all of you to join me in a Facebook group, Grooming with a Positive Mental Attitude. We're going to have this beautiful, beautiful picture. And I'm just going to give you now the task for this week. Okay, and that would be to... Okay, that's gonna be, I'm gonna post this under this week. Just a second, I just didn't prepare that because I was late for this. Okay, there we go. So there is a beautiful poem by James Allen from the book As the Man Thinking, and I'm gonna copy this PDF under this video in the comments, so you're gonna get a chance to download that. And I want you to use your book. You're gonna need like 15-20 minutes a day to take your you need to handwrite this from the paper into your book. So write it down, entire poem, and do it for the week, and just see your mind slowly transform and how this poem actually takes you back into your origin of yourness, of I-ness, of me. So I did that for a long time. I have it translated on Serbian, and I was writing it for years. Really, I have like plenty of notebooks covered with this. So, so what you're gonna do, you write your serenity for the day, and then you write 10 things you are grateful for in your life here and now. So I'm gonna read you the serenity now, and we're gonna slowly end this week topic, because this serenity, this story, this poem gonna teach you how to see. So this is the way we are learning to see the life the way it is, and how we can find ourselves at the place where we are actually fully in tuned with the God, with the nature, with the law of nature, with the universe, with call it however you want, and where I am in service to that big power that I can't refuse to serve. More I refuse of who I am, more I'm gonna suffer. It's just not gonna happen that out from the root of the apple gonna blossom orange. The more the orange the more the apple wanna be orange, it's gonna suffer. No matter how great orange it turns into, the moment the people take it out, expecting the apple, bite in, the sourness of the apple gonna make them be gross and throw it away. But if we actually in tune with the life the way it is, then you actually come to the point where you are grateful for the life and events that shaped who you are. Why we are not seeing that? Because we don't know how to give credit to everything that shaped us the way we are, starting from our parents, the way they are, ending up with every single affair, relationship, or interaction with anyone in our life, no matter how hard it was for us when the moment when it was happening. But what we need to focus on is what fruition came out from that, and how that what we learned out from that curve that we wouldn't learn if the curve wouldn't be happening. So it says serenity. The calmness of the mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It is the result of the long and patient effort of self-control. Its presence is an indication of repent experience and of more than ordinary knowledge of the laws and operation of thoughts. A man becomes calm in the measure that he understood himself as a thought-evolved being. For such knowledge necessitates the understanding of others as a result of thought, and as he develops a right understanding and sees more and more clear the internal relations of thoughts by the action of cause and effect, he cases to fuss and foam the worry and grave, and remains poised, settled, and serene. This would be the poem I want to give you to read, to kind of keep writing it for 7 days, over and over and over and over. It should be like a poem on one side, and then the 10 things you're grateful for in your life today and now. And we're going to discuss it in a group. If you want, I'm going to kind of keep, having a little more interaction with you if you join us there. Otherwise, it will be something that kind of we see you next week at the same place, because yes, in order to understand the life and move on, we do need to learn how to see the life the way it really is. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy it. Enjoy the week ahead. I love you a lot. Wish you happy New Year and blissful prosperity that's just about to arise from all of this path. Thanks.